Today, Tony Pulis returns to the club he pulled from seemingly certain relegation up to 11th in the table, en route to winning Premier League Manager of the Year. Alan Pardew might just steal that title from him this season. Palace aiming for a record-breaking fifth straight win and a top-half finish. In fact, Pardew and Pulis have earned 63 points from their combined 38 games as manager at Palace. That tally would have seen them finish 8th last season or 6th the season before. Pardew makes just one enforced change from the 4-1 win at Sunderland. Pape Souaré hasn't recovered from injury, so Joe Ledley plays at left-back. Pulis' new side have lost 3 straight to plant a seed of doubt about their safety. One more win should finish the job, though. One enforced change for them too from the 3-2 defeat to Leicester last week. Injured Brown Ade replaced by Victor Anichebe. It's the Eagles against the Baggies at Selhurst Park. Today, Tony Pulis returns to the club he pulled from seemingly certain relegation up to 11th in the table, en route to winning Premier League Manager of the Year. Alan Pardew might just steal that title from him this season. Palace aiming for a record-tying 5th straight Premier League win and a top-half finish. In fact, Pardew and Pulis have earned 63 points from their combined 38 games as manager at Palace. That tally would have seen them finish 8th last season or 6th the season before. One enforced change from the 4-1 win at Sunderland. Pape Souaré hasn't recovered from injury, so Joe Ledley plays at left-back. Pulis' new side have lost 3 straight to plant a seed of doubt about their safety. One more win should finish the job, though. One enforced change for them too, from the 3-2 defeat to Leicester last week. Injured Brown Ade replaced by Victor Anichebe. It's the Eagles against the Baggies. Mark.
take another giant step towards the title.
Methodist stand over it for Ashley Young to take, right-footed, free header for 4-1. Manchester United are running away with it. Chris Smalling has got in on the act.
I believe in facts, and the fact is now that we are behind Chelsea. But all right, we have to play against them, and Arsenal has to play against them, so we can lay pressure on Chelsea's shoulders. That's true, and then you never know.
And then tomorrow, Manchester City versus West Ham United from the Etihad Stadium.
Bonnie's won it. Bonnie lifts it in. Goal. Wilfred Bonnie scores the opening goal for Manchester City. The first goal of his City career for Wilfred Bonnie.
Left for Creswell over the wall, and Aaron Creswell. It's a wonderful strike from Aaron Creswell. His second goal of the season, and an all-important one for Sam Allardyce.
We want to hit the 50-point mark or better, and I think that that will then make sure that we finish higher than we've finished in the Premier League in the 3 seasons we've been there. And I think that then makes us having had a very good season again and progressed in the right manner with our players and our investment in the squad.
Followed by Newcastle versus Tottenham Hotspur from St James's Park.
Cabella's got the other side of Coquelin, gets the ball across the face, the penalty area and in! And it's Sissoko!
Kyle Walker inside the area, the cutback comes to Kane! It's 2! Harry Kane is just too hot to handle!
I think this is our real opportunity to show different things and increase our performance. I think it's a very important game because after the defeat against Villa at home, I think that we need recover the feeling to the victory, the positive result.
That's all still to come on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. The Barclays Premier League Live.
Oh, would you believe it?
Don't miss a single second of the most exciting competition in world football.
They've done it! They've turned it around!
Bringing you all the goals, the drama, the controversy, the exhilaration, the highs and the lows.
Oh, it's a magnificent goal!
This is Barclays Premier League Live.
Welcome to our coverage of Everton against Burnley from Goodison Park. I'm your host, Adam Bridge. Alongside me is the former Arsenal, Cardiff City and Wales defender Rhys Weston. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. A return of 5 points from 24 would generally be considered unacceptable. But when you're fighting relegation and taking on the top 8 in the Premier League in those 8 games, then it's not a bad accumulation. And it's been enough to keep Burnley firmly in with a shot at survival. The prize for a win here today could be 16th place. But to earn that, they'll need to start scoring again. They've managed just 1 in their last 6 Premier League games, with Ings failing to score in 7. But it's not just about the goals. 2 wins in 34 away games in the Premier League tell its own story. And they're away from Turf Moor for 4 of their remaining 6. So today would be a good time to find some form on their travels if their Premier League dream is to continue. Everton's 4-game unbeaten run has banished any doubts about relegation for Roberto Martinez's side. Their eyes will be firmly fixed on the top in a season where the Europa League has stretched their squad to its limits. The early season errors have been eradicated, and they look a bit more like the Everton of last season. They are, however, 25 points worse off than at this stage last campaign, a sign that last year's loanees haven't delivered since joining permanently. For Burnley, this could be the opportunity they want, as Everton's season is effectively over. Let's have a look at the 2 sides for you. We'll start with Everton. There's one change from the 1-1 draw against Swansea, and that's the absence of Osman through injury. Morales comes in. It's Howard in goal. Baines, Jagielka, Stones and Coleman the back 4. Barry the holding midfielder. Morales, Barkley, McCarthy and Lennon in midfield. Behind Aruna Kone up front. There is a return for Lukaku on the bench. As for Burnley, they're unchanged. No surprise there from the side which lost 1-0 to Arsenal. Heaton's in goal. Trippier, Duff, Shackle and Me the back 4. Boyd, Arfield, Jones and Barnes in midfield, supporting Danny Ings, who's partnered by Sam Vokes up front for Burnley this afternoon. Alongside me for this game is Rhys Weston. Rhys, good afternoon. It's all become really quite interesting at the bottom. They've all concertinaed together, but Burnley, if they're going to stand any chance, this is the kind of game where they need to go out and get 3 points.
Yeah, they've given themselves a chance. You know, as you said, they haven't been electrifying away from home all season, hence the reason at the bottom of the table. But, you know, Everton have started along this season. They've started to hit a little bit of form over the last few games, but, you know, they've massively underachieved this year, Everton, and as you rightly say, their season's essentially fizzled out. It's a great opportunity for Burnley to pick up some away points today.
If you are in the middle of the table like Everton are, and you've got a game like this today where you have got one of the sides struggling near the bottom coming to you, what's your mentality? What's the attitude when, in effect, your season's over?
I think the manager's role is vital in these kind of fixtures, because Everton will want to finish the season strongly and try and maintain some momentum going into next year. But Burnley will sense this as a real opportunity. If they acquit themselves as they have of recent games, they've been in a lot of the games they've actually fallen foul of. But as a player in these games, you just got to try and focus on your individual performances. And Everton, they've got a reasonably strong side out today, but I think Burnley have got a real opportunity to pull off an upset here.
Plenty to come before kick-off today. More to come from Reece Weston in a while, not only on this game, but in also some of the other fixtures taking place on what is a big weekend of football. But before we get into this weekend, I think we ought to have a look at the best of last weekend as we look back at the Barclays Premier League and talkSPORT.
It's 2 against 2 if they can work the ball quickly enough. Vardy, yes! In off the post! And Vardy has surely won the game for Leicester City!
And it could be 4, it is 4, and Balassi has got his hat-trick.
Tadic plays it through, this is Morgan Schneiderlin. Pala, he's done it! The goal drought is over for Graziano Pala, and Southampton are home and dry.
It's the first time ball in for Benteke and it's 1-0 to Aston Villa, and it's Christian Benteke again.
He makes the save, surely! How has this not gone in? It finally has, when it came out to Aaron Ramsey.
Here's Hazard again,
Lays it off. Oh, Chelsea have nicked a winner. Surely it's the man in the mask.
Meant to stand over it for Ashley Young to take, right-footed, free header for 4-1. Manchester United are running away with it. Chris Smalling has got in on the act. Manchester City are capitulating just as their title defence has done.
Well, they featured in the big game of last weekend, that victory against Manchester City for Manchester United. They are one of the 2 formed sides in the Premier League right now. We'll come to Arsenal in a moment, who are in FA Cup action, but let's start with Manchester United. They go to Chelsea in our late kick-off today. Richard Connolly and Darren Eadie will bring that game to you. Mouth-watering, to say the least.
Yes, it's a really attractive fixture. Manchester United, we saw them start the season very slowly. A lot of players bedding in, new manager. But they've really hit form, and putting 4 past Manchester City last week, they looked really impressive. They dominated that game for the majority of the 90 minutes, and it's going to be a real test for Chelsea today. But Chelsea, they're an efficient machine, especially at home. They don't concede many goals, and I think if Chelsea can get through this game unscathed, come away, even a point will do them at this stage of the season. I think the title is pretty much theirs.
Have Manchester United leapt off the downward escalator and are on the other side and just constantly going to go up from now, do you think?
I think so. I don't share Tom's optimism about them winning the league next season, but I think...
to be fair, our producer Tom thought they'd win it this season.
This is also true. But no, they're definitely moving in the right direction. I think their defensive frailties have been evident. I think they'll have the funds to add to their squad next season, and if they can get the defence right, then they're going to be a real match for anybody. And I think Manchester United will be far more of a challenge next year.
Which is interesting, really, because if United are coming back into form, we're seeing a slight decline in what City are offering. The other form side at the moment with 8 wins on a bounce is your former club, of course, Arsenal, which all of a sudden reminded me we're heading back to the 90s here. Are Arsenal and Manchester United about to become the 2 dominant forces at the top of the Premier League again?
I think it's a fair way to go for both sides, to be perfectly honest. Arsenal, in typical Arsenal fashion, just started along, flattered the sea for lengthy periods at the start of the season, and finally something clicks, and they realise then, if we just play the way we know we can play, then they can steamroll the teams. But I think that they're a long way. They're not consistent enough. Looking at Chelsea, the way Chelsea have played this season, they haven't always played well. But in typical Mourinho fashion, they're well organised. They can grind games out. You see against QPR, they won the game in the latter stages, 1-0, scruffy win, but they win, and that's the difference. Manchester United and Arsenal don't have that kind of steely determination at the moment to grind results out. They either steamroller teams or they kind of have a wishy-washy performance and don't quite match up to what they should be.
So we have Chelsea Man United for you later. We also have Arsenal against Reading, a 5:20 kick-off in the FA Cup semi-final. Very quickly, only one winner in that today, surely?
Yes. I would like to think so, but you never know what can happen in these cup fixtures. You saw the 7-5 debacle a couple of seasons ago, and I can't see that happening today, but I would like to think with Arsenal's current form and Reading struggling in the Championship that it should be a formality.
Well, there are 2 late kick-offs today, then 5:20. Arsenal against Reading gets underway in the FA Cup semi-final, and then directly
5:30 kickoff. Chelsea versus Manchester United with Richard Connolly and Darren Eady. When we come back, we'll take you around the other 3 o'clock kickoffs this afternoon. We'll get all your team news and hear from the managers in a moment. This is talkSPORT's coverage of the Barclays Premier League Live.
Still to come on Barclays Premier League Live. Everton versus Burnley from Goodison Park.
Plays it down the line to McCarthy. It's a good delivery. A chance here for Aaron Lennon. And the opening goal goes the way of Everton. It's his second for the Toffees. Company wins it back to Boyd. Oh, what a goal! George Boyd fizzes it in for Burnley and sends Turfmoor wild.
We've done a lot of work to be where we are after being written off so heavily, and we're certainly in the pack. Performance-wise, I've been pleased. We know we've got to win games, of course. That's the nature of the business, but there has to be a foundation there, and I think performance-wise, we've delivered good performances against some very, very strong sides recently.
Followed by Chelsea versus Manchester United from Stamford Bridge.
Here's Hazard again, lays it off. Oh, Chelsea have nicked a winner. Surely it's the man in the mask. Cesc Fabregas side-footing home, and Chelsea take another giant step towards the title. Vector does stand over it for right-footed, free header for 4-1. Manchester United are running away with it. Chris Smalling has got in on the act.
I believe in facts, and the fact is now that we are behind Chelsea. But all right, we have to play against them, and Arsenal has to play against them, so we can lay pressure on Chelsea's shoulders. That's true, and then you never know.
And then tomorrow, Manchester City versus West Ham United from the Etihad Stadium.
Bonnie's won it. Bonnie lets it in. Goal. Wilfred Bonnie scores the opening goal for Manchester City. The first goal of his City career for Wilfred Bonnie.
Yeah, for Cresswell over the wall, and Aaron Cresswell. It's a wonderful strike from Aaron Cresswell. His second goal of the season, and an all-important one for Sam Allardyce.
We want to hit the 50-point mark or better. And I think that that will then make sure that we finish higher than we've finished in the Premier League in the 3 seasons we've been there. And I think that then makes us having had a very good season again and progressed in the right manner with our players and our investment in the squad.
Followed by Newcastle versus Tottenham Hotspur from St James's Park.
Cabella's got the other side of Coquelin. Face the penalty area and in, and it's Sissoko.
Kyle Walker inside the area. The cutback comes to Kane. It's 2. Harry Kane is just too hot to handle.
I think this is our real opportunity to show different things and increase our performance. I think it's a very important game because after the defeat against Villa at home, I think that we need recover the feeling to the victory, the positive result.
That's all still to come on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT.
Welcome back to Goodison Park, where this afternoon our eyes are focused on Everton against Burnley as Burnley try and make their way out of the bottom 3 in the Barclays Premier League. A reminder that team used one change for Everton. Osman's out, Morales comes in, Lukaku is on the bench. Burnley, no surprise, are unchanged from the team which took on Arsenal and went down by a goal to 0 last week. More from Goodison Park to come soon, but let's get round the grounds of our other 3 o'clock kickoffs this afternoon, and we'll start as Tony Pulis goes to his former side, Crystal Palace. He takes his current charges, West Brom there. Team news to come from Tim Long in a moment, but first let's hear from the managers, Alan Pardew and the aforementioned Mr. Pulis.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're in a terrific mood in terms of our confidence. We have great momentum, and we are at home in front of the most passionate of crowds, so a game to look forward to.
The thing we've got to do more than anything else is actually get back to not making individual mistakes. If you look at the performances, the individual mistakes that we made, the 20 minutes that we had against QPR, last minute, the last minute incident with Gareth, even Ben going back to the game at Aston Villa with 30 seconds to go, Ben's a top goalkeeper and makes that mistake that cost us a game there. So it's been individual mistakes that have cost us, and it's something that, they have to eradicate, because in the Premiership it is a test in place.
Today, Tony Pulis returns to the club he pulled from seemingly certain relegation up to 11th in the table, en route to winning Premier League Manager of the Year. Alan Pardew might just steal that title from him this season. Palace aiming for a record-tying 5th straight Premier League win and a top-half finish. In fact, Pardew and Pulis have earned 63 points from their combined 38 games as manager at Palace. That tally would have seen them finish 8th last season or 6th the season before. Pardew makes just one enforced change from the 4-1 win at Sunderland. Pape Souaré hasn't recovered from injury, so Joe Ledley plays at left back. Pulis' new side have lost 3 straight to plant a seed of doubt about their safety. One more win should finish the job though. One enforced change for them too, from the 3-2 defeat to Leicester last week. Injured Brown Ade replaced by Victor Anichibi. It's the Eagles against the Baggies at Selhurst Park.
An intriguing encounter, not just for Pulis going back to his former side, but they've shipped 10 goals in their last 3 games at West Brom. We're just looking at their fixtures coming up. Palace today, obviously. Liverpool away, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, and Arsenal away. 33 points, they're not out of trouble yet, are they?
No, not by a long shot. I mean, that's a horrendously tough running for them. I mean, looking at those fixtures, today is massive for West Bromwich Albion. The only game you look at there is the Newcastle fixture, whereby you might catch Newcastle in a slightly lackadaisical mood. Obviously, they haven't got much to play for themselves. So yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough for West Brom.
It's also interesting when you think that he left Palace, saying he couldn't really take the club any further, and arguments about the purchasing of players, and yet here at Palace, comfortably above them in the table. Yeah,
it is ironic. You're never fully going to understand what went on behind the scenes at Palace when Tony Pulis was there. He obviously left under a bit of a cloud, but with the greatest of respect to Alan Pardew, he's gone in there and he's galvanised the team. He's given them a real lift, and some of the results have been outstanding. And they look like a proper Premier League outfit now. He's not renowned for his organisational skills, but he's got Palace, everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, and they've been on a really, really good run. If they can get 5 straight wins, the best in their club's history, then, fair play to them.
Big encounter today. You'll be able to hear that game via the website, talksport.com. Let's move on. Leicester take on Swansea today. A chance for Leicester potentially themselves out of the bottom 3 as well if they can get some goals against Swansea. We'll hear the team news from James Field in a moment, but first let's hear from the managers. Gary Monk's coming up, and first Nigel Pearce.
Ultimately we've got to produce results in enough games now. 7 games, 5 at home, but as I've said many times, our home form needs to improve, but certainly on the basis of looking at performances recently, we've increased our chances, but we've got to continue to stay very much focused on what we do ourselves and not get carried away with all the speculation and maths that go on elsewhere.
The way we've done it this season, we really have just focused on the next game, and those 3 points are the most crucial points that we can set our sights on. So it's Leicester on Saturday. It's 3 points to fight for, and we'll try and do that again. We've done that pretty much. It's worked for us this season, focusing like that, so that's how we'll remain.
Yeah, written off by many before the turn of the year. Leicester know that a win today by 3 goals could lift them out to the bottom 3. There's been back-to-back wins for the Foxes, and following today's game, 3 of their last 7 are against relegation rivals starting at Burnley next week. Today's opponents, Swansea, equalled their highest ever points total in the Premier League with a point against Everton last week, and haven't been out of the top half of the table all season. They've taken 7 points from their last 9 available, and are looking to go 4 unbeaten for the first time in over 2 years. The team used today 3 changes for Leicester. Richie Delat, Leonardo Ulloa, Matty James drop out. Marcin Vasilevski, Andy King and Andrej Kramaric come in. 2 enforced changes for Swansea. Neil Taylor suspended and Bafatimbi Gomes is injured. Comes into defence, and Nelson Oliveira starts up front. At the KP, it's Leicester against Swansea. 2
weeks ago, Reece, I sat on this very programme and said they had to start winning. It was do or die. They have. They've won 2 on the bounce. Will they make it 3 today?
Well, it's going to be tough for them, but yeah, I think confidence is high. Home game against Swansea. Swansea again have had a fantastic season by their standards. It's a very winnable game for Leicester, and 3 games on the bounce at this stage it's immeasurable.
How big is confidence at that point? You're end of the season, you're fighting for your lives. That 3rd win, 9 points out of 9, it must just send the confidence through the roof.
Absolutely, and all of a sudden you start believing in what you're doing a little bit more. Leicester, to be fair, they've hung in there. They've been unlucky in a lot of games this season, but they've given themselves a fighting chance. They've got a couple of games in hand with over and above the teams above them. A win today would set them well on their way to survival, and I think they've got a real strong chance. If they go about the business like they did last week, got every chance.
Another huge afternoon for Leicester City and for Nigel Pearce. Last of our 3 o'clock kickoffs today sees Stoke taking on Southampton, who are still battling hard for that 5th spot in the Barclays Premier League. The team news from Dan Windle to come, but let's hear from Mark Hughes and Ronald Koeman.
the targets and goals that we set ourselves at the beginning of the year are very much still there for us. So that's a challenge for us, that we're able to keep our focus. I was really pleased, obviously, with our performance at West Ham. I thought we showed real strength of character. If we were a team that was looking too far ahead to the break, then we wouldn't have been able to score as late as we did against West Ham last week. I think that shows that we're very much focused on what we have to do right up to the end.
It's not important to look to the teams in front of us on the table, because we have to win, and if you win and other teams are struggling, then you come closer, and then maybe you have a good possibility. But now at the moment, I think we have to focus ourselves to the 5th, 6th and the 7th position on the table.
A trip to the Britannia to keep faint top 4 ambitions alive. The task on the hands of Ronald Koeman's Southampton this afternoon. A return of just 7 goals scored in their last 10 clashes. Must improve, though, to get close to achieving the above for the Saints. No wins in their last 4, but a late point garnered last time out for Stoke ticks them closer to their highest ever top-flight points record. Just 7 points to go. Team news for the host: 3 changes. Eric Peters replacing Mark Wilson. Stephen Ireland and Mamir Diouf slot in for Charlie Adam and the injured Victor Moses elsewhere. For the visitors, the man whose future continues to be surrounded by speculation, Nathaniel Klein, returns along with Dusan Tadic. We expect a switch to 3 at the back from the Saints. 4 of their last 5 between these sides, league draws. Front 3 live at the Britannia. Stoke City versus Southampton.
If you want to hear any of those other 3 games, talksport.com is your destination, or via the app at TuneIn, and we'll keep you posted on the goals as they go in, while we focus on Everton against Burnley in the sunshine at Goodison Park. Let's focus on that game now, and let's hear from the Everton manager, Roberto Martinez. He says it's quite important to end the season strongly.
For us, we are in a position that as Everton we want to fight for every point and get as many points as we can and finish as high in the table, and that's very important. Maybe from the outside they don't see it as an important ending of the season. I can guarantee you that from our point of view internally and for our fans and as a football club, the next 6 games are very important to set things in place for next season, to finish the season strong, and to making sure that we take advantage of the good moment of form that we are enjoying now.
Kone plays it down the line to McCarthy. It's a good delivery. A chance here for Aaron Lennon, and the opening goal goes the way of Everton. It's his second for the Toffees, and Aaron Lennon, with less than 4 minutes until half-time, gives Roberto Martinez the lead.
We need to assemble a really strong squad for next season, and the next 6 games is first opportunity for some young players to make sure that they show that they're ready for big important roles for next campaign, and everyone else having a real strong competition to wanting to be very important figures for the future at Everton.
That's Roberto Martinez. It's been a really frustrating for everyone connected to the club, I think, because they felt, having got in the Europa League and all the rest of it last season, having a really good first term, that they would kick on, but it's just not worked out like that.
No, I can see where the frustrations would come from. They added Lukaku to the squad on a full-time basis, and he stuttered along a little bit, and they have. I think the best way to sum them up is they've underachieved, and they are a very good footballing team, and you've seen that of late, that they're starting to realise the potential they showed last season, but for one reason or another they had a little bit of a hangover at the start of the year, and that really cost them. And to be 25 points worse off than they were at this stage last season, that's a significant drop-off.
The key to it as well has been the form here at Goodison Park. I mean, I've seen games where the fans were booing when they were past stuff. They've only won 5 Premier League home games, and yet last season they had a run where they won 7 on the bounce, and they looked almost unbeatable at Goodison Park, but it just all seems to have evaporated.
Yeah, and we alluded to it earlier on in commentary about the confidence factor. The more games you lose, the more elusive that win becomes, and pressure soon builds up, and especially on the back of such a successful season for Everton last year, the fans were expecting big things, and I think the players started to feel the pressure a little bit, hence the reason the performances weren't quite where they should be.
Well, as you said, the form has been better in 2015. They've only Arsenal have conceded less goals at home than Everton have. Today's visitors, though, Burnley. Well, what can they do? A tough 8 games done with. Now Everton are on the horizon. Here's the thoughts of Sean Dyche, who says the players have the right mentality to avoid relegation.
We'd got so used to winning last season. We only lost 5 games, and then to come to this season, it's not impossible but improbable that you're going to only lose 5 games, when you're Burnley Football Club coming into the Premier League. So we kind of spoke about this idea that was behind just winning, drawing and losing. That, what is it behind that? What is it, the motivation behind that? Because we felt it might be needed. So I've been really pleased with that mentality. It's, as you suggest, it stayed firm all the way through the season, even in the early part of the season when we were heavily questioned for not winning. That solid kind of mentality was there all along. The will and desire, I feel, to improve, and it's been there all along. And there's been some good signs of it with some big results. And now, we've got these 6 big games, important games for many different reasons, in order to kind of make sense of it all and deliver performances.
Company wins it back to Boyd! Oh, what a goal! George Boyd fitted it in for Burnley and sends Turf Moor wild!
We know we've got to win games, of course. That's the nature of the business, but there has to be a foundation there. And I think performance-wise, we've delivered good performances against some very, very strong sides recently. Your hope and demand of the players is to take them performances into teams that are not flying in the division. So we want to take all of the things that we've learned over the season, we want to put them all together and take them into the last 6 games.
Lots of Sean Dyche, the Burnley boss. Is there a manager that people probably admire more than Sean Dyche in the Premier League? I'm not sure there is. He's stuck by the side that got him promoted. He's picked the 9 on the same 11 week, and they find themselves in with a fighting chance.
Yeah, he's a real amiable character, Sean Dyche. He always conducts himself really well. He comes across great with the media. And as you say, looking at Burnley starting up today, there's no real what you call Premiership pedigree there. Hardly any of these boys have played in the Premier League before, and for them to come up into the Premier League, it was always going to be tough for them. But as you say, he's stuck to his guns. They've tried their hearts out. Every time they go on the pitch, they give 100% for him and the fans, and they give themselves a fighting chance. And you say that win against Manchester City, I don't think there's any fan in the country that wasn't a Man City fan that didn't really embrace that victory for Burnley, and they are capable of causing upsets, and I think they need to be on their mettle today. But as you said, it's a tough ask, but one they've acquitted themselves to really well. Danny Ings hasn't scored for 7 games. The side have only scored 1 in 6, and they're not keeping clean sheets either. If you're not doing either, it can make life quite difficult, can't it? I would suggest that is very much the case, yeah. And the table doesn't lie. And if you're not scoring goals and you're conceding goals, then invariably you're going to spiral downwards. And something's got to give. And I think these last 6 games are obviously going to make or break their season. And football can change around very, very quickly, and who knows what's going to happen. Would it be good for football if Burnley survived? I guess so. Everyone loves an underdog story, don't they? I think so. I think it would be. I think a lot of people will be rooting for Burnley, given their financial status and how they've conducted themselves this year in the Premier League. Do they deserve to stay up? That remains to be seen, but I think a lot of people would like them to stay up. And as for Sean Dyche, where does he sit in terms of as a manager? I mean, is he going to go on to great things, or can't we tell that yet? I think it's early days. It's early days, for a manager who's relatively inexperienced. He's got to manage at a higher level for a longer period of time before he'll be judged accordingly. But he's done a fantastic job at Burnley. No one can argue that fact. And if they do stay up and Burnley kick on and progress, then who knows where he can go. Teams are in the tunnel. The thoughts of Reece Weston. He'll be alongside me for the big kick-off, which is just 5 minutes away. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT.
One planet, one game, one football. The all-new One Football app is available right now for iOS, Android and Windows phones. With all the latest football...
A very good afternoon and welcome to you all inside Selhurst Park here today. Let's take you now through our two-team lineup, starting with the visitors, West Brom. In goal number 13, Boris Myhill, 5, Claudio Jacob, 6, Julian Lescott, 7, James Morrison, 8, Craig Gardner, 10, Victor Anichebe, 11, Chris Brum, 18, Saido Berahino, 23, Gareth McCauley, 24 and captains, Aaron Fletcher, and number 25, Craig Dawson.
Welcome along to our coverage here of Crystal Palace against West Bromwich Albion from Selhurst Park. I'm your match commentator Tim Long. This game being brought to you by talkSPORT.com, Westwood One Sports in the USA, the One Football app across mainland Europe and Latin America, and the Tune In radio app. Listen to the world. Well, today Tony Pulis returns to the club. He pulled from near relegation. They were second from bottom when he took over, with only 7 points from 12 games. Ended up finishing 11th in the table, en route to winning the Premier League Manager of the Year award. Alan Pardew, in charge of Palace today, might just be able to steal that title from him this season. Palace aiming for a record-tying 5th straight Premier League win today, and also a top-half finish in the Barclays Premier League. In fact, Pardew and Palace have earned 63 points from their combined 38 games as manager at Palace. That tally would have seen them finish 8th last season, or even 6th the season. Just one enforced change for both managers today, for Alan Pardew and for Crystal Palace. From that 4-1 win at Sunderland, Pape Souaré hasn't recovered from injury, so Joe Ledley plays at left back. And for Tony Pulis, whose side has lost 3 straight now, just to plant a seed of doubt about their safety. They have Browner Day struggling with a knock. He's on the bench, so Victor Anichebe comes in. Just that one change from their 3-2 defeat to Leicester last week. The teams are out on the pitch, a very sunny pitch in South London. And John Moss, today's referee, is just making his final checks. And we're about ready to get this game underway. A crucial game for West Brom, no doubt about that. They need that one win to guarantee their survival. Those extra 3 points should be enough. And they do have a tough run in over the final 5 games of the campaign, so this is absolutely crucial here at Selhurst Park today. We are underway. West Brom playing in their changed colours. The predominantly white shirts, dark blue shorts, white socks. Crystal Palace in their home colours, the dark red and blue stripes. Free kick to the home side over on the far side of the field. Around about halfway, chipped forward for them in towards the penalty area. Away by Lescott, not too far though. Glenn Murray right on the edge of the penalty area trying to control, and West Brom able to clear their lines. Here's Zaha now on the near side. Palace attacking the goal across to my right, tries to slip it through for the overlapping Joel Ward. Good defensive work from Craig Gardner to intervene, and Boaz Myhill will clear long for West Brom. Ben Foster still injured, so Boaz Myhill plays in goal for the Baggies today. He started off an attack for them too. They're into the penalty area. Saido Berahino driving into the near side of the box. His attempted cross turned behind for a corner. Corner for West Brom from the near side here at Selhurst Park, between the main stand and the White Horse Lane stand. Across to my left, and the likes of McCauley and Lescott have made it up into the centre. It's Chris Brunt who delivers, out swinging from the near side, nodded towards goal and in. A perfect start for Tony Pulis, back on his old stomping ground. A thumping downward header. He looks like the calmest man in the stadium right now, but James Morrison has headed West Brom into the lead inside the opening 2 minutes at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. It was a free header too. He arrived on the edge of the 6-yard box and headed it down. There was nobody within about 3 or 4 yards of him. And Julian Speroni rooted to the spot on his goal line was asking the question, where was the marking? Well, what a start. And now Crystal Palace have to show the kind of fighting spirit that has seen them win 4 straight in the Premier League before today. Here's Zaha now on this near touchline, looking to get forward down the right flank again. 3, 4, 5 step overs. He's trying to get between 2. And he's been bundled over by a combination of Chris Brunt and Claudio Jakob, and Crystal Palace have a free kick right on the near edge of the penalty area in a really dangerous position. Zaha rolled his foot over the top of the ball, produced step over after step over, and West Brom couldn't handle him. Big opportunity almost instantly for Palace to try and respond here. And it's the captain Jedinak over the free kick. And it's about 8 yards or so from the byline on the edge of the penalty area on the near side. Taken short and right-footed, one off the training ground, rolled in low towards Glenn Murray, but he side-foots it from 10 yards out over the top of the crossbar. He was able to break free, just wasn't able to direct his effort on target. It was a little behind him, rather scooped it over the top. What a fantastic run of form he's been on, though. A combination of 9 goals and assists in his last 6 games. 6 goals, 3 assists. You'd be pretty happy if you picked him for your fantasy team in recent weeks, that's for sure. Alan Pardew stood on the edge of his technical area right now in a smart suit, arms folded, chewing a piece of gum, and watching on with an intense look on his face. And it's the old Palace boss on his return that's got the better of Pardew so far, and they're trying to double their advantage too. Fizzed in from Morrison from all of 25 yards, and it took a deflection on its way, I think off Craig Gardner, and it might have been a dangerous one for Speroni. Gardner just trying a little impudent touch around the penalty spot to try and divert it back towards goal. Speroni in the end was able to watch it past his right hand post. And West Brom have lost their last 3 games in the Premier League. 3-0 at Manchester City, and then at home to QPR 4-1 and to Leicester 3-2. It is the first time a Tony Pulis side has suffered 3 straight defeats since his Stoke team did 2 years ago. And he never suffered 3 straight defeats at Palace. But what a wonderful start they have made here on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. We've played only 5 minutes and West Brom had a 2-minute lead. Free kick to the Baggies, just off the edge of their own penalty area right now, that Myhill is going to take. I didn't even get a chance to run you through the full lineups. That goal was so quick for West Brom. They do have Myhill in goal. And the back 4 of Dawson at right back, Lescott and McCauley in the centre, and Brunt at left back. And then in midfield, Morrison, Fletcher, Jakob and Gardner, with Berahino and Anachibi up front. The goal has come from James Morrison. A powerful downward header from a corner. Nobody around him marking though, and Alan Pardew won't be happy about that. Pardew's team for today is Speroni in goal, a back 4 of Ledley coming in at left back, Dan and Delaney in the centre, Ward at right back, MacArthur, Jedinak in midfield, and then Balassi, Punchin and Zaha in support of the informed Glenn Murray up front. The ball is in the West Brom right back position, cleared away down the line by Dawson, who was fouled in the process. And West Bromwich Albion have themselves a free kick with 7 minutes on the clock. Palace have won those 4 straight. It would be a top flight club record today if they could turn this around and make it 5 straight wins. And they're coming into the game off the back of wins against Sunderland, Manchester City, Stoke and Queen's Park Rangers. Away by Myhill. Ball is back on the edge of the Palace penalty area, cleared long, and Brunt standing in at left back today has got a bit of chasing to do, and able to hook the ball out and into touch for a Palace throw. They've taken it from the near side, moved it across the back line all the way over to the far side to Joe Ledley. Pape Soiré recovered enough for the bench today after a knock against Sunderland last week, but not enough for the starting lineup. There's Ward now on the near side. Palace happy to move it around across the back and then chip it forward long towards Murray, who nods it down towards Zaha, but his opposite number turns it back into the penalty area. It's cleared away back towards Brunt. He struggled a little bit at left back there. He was looking to try and move it back to Myhill. The pass might not have had the legs on it. Lescott had to come across and intervene. Ledley over on the far side finding Balassi. Balassi, a little flick with the outside of his right boot, trying to move it forward. Now he's going to back to put pressure on Myhill, who is forced into a flat clearance over the halfway line towards Ward. And Ward moving it across to Zaha now. He's been seeing plenty of the ball in the last few minutes. Now back to Ward again. In the centre is Punchin, just off the edge of the centre circle, across to the far side to Ledley once more, right in front of where his old boss Tony Pulis is stood. Now Jason Punchin playing in a more central role under Alan Pardew. His forward ball deflected out of bounds over on the far side for a Crystal Palace throw. Throwing taken by Ledley into Punchin. Flick of the outside of the left boot for him to move it into the feet of Balassi. Moved on now to Jedinak and across to MacArthur, who took on the shot, moved it back swiftly from his right onto his left, then tried to curl it in and force the save from Myhill, although it was a relatively comfortable one from the effort 25 yards out from James MacArthur. MacArthur, Palace's record signing, £7 million from Wigan back on deadline day. And that was after Tony Pulis had left the side, of course. He left a couple of days, or just a day in fact, before the start of the new season. And he has said this week that he won't reveal why he left Crystal Palace. Now a long ball coming over the top, looking for Balassi running in behind. He went down under the challenge of Dawson. And Balassi appealing across to John Moss, took a good long look at it, the referee, but gave nothing. There was a bit of a tangle between Dawson and Balassi. Here's Gardner getting forward for West Brom on the near side, tried to trick his way around Ward and into the penalty area, but Ward back in position, able to clear. And they passed it out from the back Palace. Ward onto Zaha now. Excellent work from Fletcher to come across and challenge his old Manchester United teammate, and then a free kick has gone here on halfway. Jakob and Jedinak coming together. And the referee is going to have a word with Claudio Jakob. He's only made 10 previous starts this season, Jakob, after last season being an integral part of the team. And he does have that tenacity, that forestiness. And he was a little late on Jedinak that time. Here is the Palace captain moving it on once more towards Ledley, and now Balassi. Balassi crosses it right-footed from a deep position over the top of everybody in the penalty area and behind for a West Brom goal kick. We've played 12 minutes here on Barclays Premier League live with talkSPORT. Crystal Palace 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. And Palace have got on the ball since conceding the opening goal. I'm just seeing the goal again on the monitor in front of me. Morrison running in, and he got away from Jason Punchin so easily. Punchin was Morrison following his run, and he just stopped and let Morrison fly right past him. And Morrison was left with a free header from the edge of the 6-yard box. Palace certainly having more of the possession at the moment. have had more of it over the last 10 minutes, but haven't really done anything with it as yet. Long ball forward into the penalty area from Joe Ledley is comfortably claimed by Boaz Myhill. A Californian-born Wales international. He started against Queen's Park Rangers and Manchester City, with Ben Foster struggling with a knee injury. Here come West Brom with Morrison over on the far side, turned away by Ledley, only back to Morrison on the right wing. There are several options in the centre for West Brom if Morrison could figure out a way of getting the ball in. Instead he's forced backwards towards Dawson, who goes back again a little further to McCauley. McCauley's long ball headed down towards Balassi, who's used his strength well to shake off the attentions of Morrison. And then a free kick's going to go in favour of Palace over on the far side for a challenge on Murray by Darren Fletcher, I believe. There has been a few feisty challenges inside the opening quarter of an hour. In fact, Fletcher was leading the protest, but it's Gareth McCauley who's going to receive the yellow card. I'm just seeing it again now on the monitor. Little flick by Murray to try and beat the big McCauley, who'd come across to the far side of the field to greet him. McCauley was late in. Here come Palace, another chip ball from deep into the penalty area, and another comfortable claim to Myhill. There's been 3 or 4 of those inside the opening quarter of an hour. Fifth start of the season for Boaz Myhill today. Of course, Ben Foster is the number 1 at West Brom. And Boaz Myhill certainly a capable understudy. A very experienced goalkeeper. He's dealt well so far with the long balls that Alan Pardew's team have thrown in towards the penalty area. Only really that one fairly comfortable save he's had to make from the curling effort from MacArthur from 25 yards. And both managers are out on the edge of their technical areas right now. Tony Pulis is certainly the more animated of the two. Cleared away by Delaney from inside the Palace penalty area. Turned back in towards Anachibi, trying to turn away. He got away momentarily from Mele Jedinak and looked across as he fell down to the floor at the referee, who held both of his arms out to his side, indicated no penalty. He was right on top of it, John Moss. Palace trying to come forward then with MacArthur. The tackles are flying in, and it's getting heated here on a sunny day in South London. And the free kick has gone on this occasion in West Brom's favour, but Victor Anachibi is still shouting across towards the referee, feeling he should have had a penalty at the other end. I'm just seeing it again. He turned away from Jedinak, who was holding him in the penalty area, both arms around him. There may have been a tangle of legs as well. John Moss had a really good view. Anachibi maybe has a case there, though. You're always taking a risk when you put your hands around an attacking player inside your own penalty area, and that's what Jedinak did there. He's so good at that, Anachibi, getting his back towards a defensive player and spinning away from them inside the penalty box. West Brom have had to settle for now for a throw-in over on the far side. Berahino moves it back across towards Dawson, whose crosses charge down. And West Brom have another throw-in over on that far side, about level with the edge of the Palace penalty area. Taken long this time by Dawson, nodded back by Anachibi towards Morrison, almost found him. Palace struggling to clear their lines at the moment, up into the air from Punchin, back in towards the penalty area. And Berahino was judged to have fouled the Palace player as he was duelling in the air. Palace have a free kick back on the edge of their own penalty area. 15 points from the last 18 available for Crystal Palace, winning 5 and losing 1. Only Arsenal and Manchester United have a better record over that period. But they are down here with 17.5 minutes played on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. And it's Palace 0, West Brom 1. Here's Ward on the near side towards Zaha. He hasn't quite got on the ball as much over the last 5 minutes as he did in the... Throwing taken quickly, punching, chipping the ball in towards Murray, headed away by Macaulay. Out as far as Jedinak, flicked on towards Balassi, back to Ledley now. Palace have got plenty of players forward inside the West Brom half of the field, but West Brom back and organised and stern defensively, as you'd expect a Tony Pulis side to be, able to alleviate the danger, and a wonderful run here by James Morrison to get away. And over halfway, trapped by Punchin this time. Across to Gardner, near corner of the penalty area, back onto his right foot, tries to release Brunt on the overlap, and Wilfried Zaha doing a superb job to stick with his opposite number back inside his own penalty and have some strong play to clear the ball away on this near side. And it was vital that Zaha trapped the run of Brunt, and he got his body between opposition player and the ball, and then as he cleared it, deflected it off the foot of Brunt and out of play for a Palace throw. Joe Ledley in the left-back position for Palace. Long up towards Balassi. Headed away but picked up by Punchin on halfway. Punchin drifting across to the left wing right now. Very congested over there, but he's still going. Dawson going across to close him down. Punchin rolls it in towards Ledley, who tried to square it towards Balassi. It's come back out to Jedinak, who drove it from all of 35 yards on the half volley and about 20 yards over the top of the crossbar. Just 2 long-range efforts for Palace so far, despite having about 65% of the possession. And these opening 20 minutes, and West Brom with their lead for the moment look relatively comfortable. We've yet to really see the attacking prowess of Glenn Murray at work, and Wilfried Zaha has had a few moments of skill but gone a little bit quiet over the last 10 minutes. Punchin trying another long ball, this time looking to release Zaha down this near side. Zaha attacking the near edge of the penalty area up against Brunt. A couple of step overs again. Jinks towards the byline. Good cross in. Just behind Murray. And cleared away inside the 6-yard box and out of play on the near side for a Crystal Palace throw. Claudio Jakob getting in the way for West Brom after a lovely piece of skill from Zaha. Here's Punchin now. Twisting and turning and finding Jedinak. He squares the ball further on towards MacArthur. Chipped in by him, but over the top of Jedinak, who'd made a move in towards the penalty area and over the head of Brunt too, and allowed to bounce behind for a West Brom goal kick. Well, that just shows what can happen when Palace do get Zaha on the ball. It was a lovely long clearance, measured clearance out towards him on the near side, with the West Brom defence backtracking. Again, those step overs from Zaha. He just pulled it back into the centre, a little bit behind Murray, and that allowed Jakob the opportunity to clear in front of goal. We've played just over 20 minutes at Selhurst Park. Still Crystal Palace 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. The goal from James Morrison inside the 2nd minute. Palace have had much more of the possession since then, but just a couple of long-range efforts to show for it. Wilfried Zaha looking dangerous on this near side, but still Palace 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. It's Jakob who has the ball for West Brom. Clears it forwards towards Anachibi. Moved on by Darren Fletcher towards Gardner on the near side. Gardner goes back to Brunt, who fires it long up towards the edge of the